as promised, today we're going to be looking at the making poo experiment. So essentially we're going to be working from our mouth, or my mouth, down to the anus, essentially making poo. Throughout this whole experiment, which is going to be worked out on my kitchen table here, I want you to kind of remember that the digestive system is all in all about 9 meters long. So all of the processes we're talking about will be happening and occurring during the body through a 9 meter long stretch. And during this process, you need to listen out for the 3 key terms that will factor and need to feature in your assignment write-up in order for you to reach the P2 criteria. So those key terms being digestion, absorption, and then finally the fun bit at the end, excretion. So to begin with then, first key term, digestion. And we're going to start that off, and it actually starts within the mouth, which is represented here by my bowl. Naturally occurring before you put any food in your mouth is our first enzyme, so amylase. It gets secreted via the tongue, and it's an enzyme that helps to break down the carbohydrates. So we're going to add into the mouth, almost like a typical breakfast if you like, and I'm going to use my scissors, but they could be representing incisors, so your kind of sharp pointy teeth to help do the initial breaking up and cutting. So just imagine you've put this banana into your mouth and you start chewing, start the process of digestion. Also for breakfast, again, carbohydrates, which we know that key enzyme amylase is going to be looking to break down for us. We've got some very healthy wholemeal bread. I think this person was particularly hungry, adding into the mix, more so this side, complex carbohydrates in the form of some oats. And I think they were a little bit naughty this day because they raided their children's chocolate store and had a quick nibble on the Freddo bar. So all of that was washed down with some black coffee. But at this stage within the mouth, that's too kind of bulky, if you like, to actually swallow. So we need to break it down further, and I've got my potato masher here, and that would be representing your back teeth, so your molars, which would help do some grinding. Okay, so visualising, this is what happens, process in your mouth, chewing, mixing all of the contents that you put in it to help start the process of digestion. Lovely. So we're at the stage now where we are ready to swallow. So this mixture of mixed up food and liquid is now ready to travel down towards our stomach, represented here by my bag. Not the nicest job in the world, but we're moving from mouth into stomach, which is a really quick process. I think I said last lesson, up to about 6 seconds, and it would have hit down into the stomach, providing that you've done the necessary chewing in an appropriate manner. Okay, so all of that lovely mixture of food has now arrived down within the stomach being like a muscle, so it's going to help us further churn up all of the useful food, ready to keep that process of digestion and to move along into absorption. So within the stomach, we're going to learn about another enzyme now, so protease, useful for breaking down amino acids. Some enzymes, they're a little bit fussy, if you like, they're like set conditions. So protease, in order for it to break down proteins into useful amino acids, it likes acidic conditions. Luckily for us, and when you've been writing about the structures of the digestive system and the functions, we've learned that the stomach lining actually secretes and gives off hydrochloric acid, which is perfect. It's that perfect match-up for helping protease to work under the set conditions. So my hydrochloric acid is going to be represented by orange juice for that acidic factor, bringing in the correct conditions. So carefully sealing the bag up so so as not to cause any mishaps. But if you imagine now, I think I've almost likened to it, it's a little bit of like a cement mixer. The stomach, that muscular action, churning up all of the food, ready for the next stage of digestion. So from the stomach, the mixture of food, which is also known as chyme, or do you remember sometimes it's sometimes called or pronounced chyme, will move from the stomach bag, she says, into the small intestine. So I've got here for you, just to represent the small intestine, almost like a pop sock, so a pair of tights essentially. Also within the small intestine, more enzymes will become apparent. So you're going to have in there a mixture of all of the 3 enzymes that we've now become aware of. So amylase, protease, and then the final enzyme, lipase, is also in the mixture now. And lipase being the one, it sounds very similar, being the enzyme that helps to break down fats. To aid a little bit further, so that's my mixture of the 3 enzymes going in. To aid a little bit further, also within the small intestine, we have a helpful addition of bile, which aids further breakdown of fats. And remember that bile gets produced by the liver in terms of one of the liver's key functions. And when it's not required, it will be stored within the gallbladder, which is found in and around the liver area itself. So whilst we're looking at the small intestine here, this is where the key term absorption comes into play. So through the walls, which is represented by my tights, through the walls of the small intestine, anything that's going to be really useful to the body, so any really useful nutrients, will actually be absorbed, so they'll get secreted out of the small intestine and absorbed, making some nice noises, into the bloodstream. So my bloodstream here, being represented on my red shopping board, once those useful nutrients are in the bloodstream, then they're able to travel around the body, providing the body with energy essentially. So after the small intestine, just making sure we've squeezed out all of the useful nutrients, any kind of undigested food then arrives at the large intestine. I'm just going to get my scissors back to undo my small intestine. A little bit of an operation going on. Okay, so the undigested food will arrive at the large intestine. And it's here within the large intestine that, because the body's like a really good recycling centre, it doesn't really let anything go to waste. So any goodness that it can hold on to, it's going to look to kind of maintain. So within the large intestine, which is represented by my tea towel here, any last little bit of goodness gets absorbed. And for the most part, within the large intestine, that's going to be things like water being reabsorbed back into the body to help keep us hydrated, and also some salts, again linked to hydration to keep us functioning and keep our body working in a tickety-boo manner essentially. So then you're just left with undigested food essentially. The body's tried its best to eke out everything that it can possibly do from it. After the large intestines, this food will then move into the rectum area of the digestive system. So remember at the start of my experiment, I was talking about that 9-metre long process. My husband's just laughing now. He's doing a recording for me. It's quite a tricky topic to be recording. But we're at the last process, which is the rectum. Grow up, Jews! Which is the rectum, which is where poo gets stored. From the rectum, the poo is going to move to the final point on this journey into our anus. So as I was saying before Chris got the giggles, the anus is going to be that last point with the 9-metre journey. Okay, and then I'll just remove that. And this bit sounds a bit painful, so sorry if you're squeamish. But the final part of the journey, which is the key term excretion, which is the bit my husband got the giggles over, is basically where the person will go for a poo and we're eking out and pooing out all of the food that we can't digest and get any use of. Okay, hopefully that's helped to clarify those 3 key terms: digestion, absorption and excretion. Thank you for watching.